They're working their way through the first, now into the second of the two Ford chicanes. The pace car has pulled in. The 75th running of the Michelin 24 Hours of Le Mans is green. We are underway. And it was from the outside that the Peugeot was able to take the swing, leading now into the Dunlop curves, watching some of the cars a little bit further back in the pack. There, the number 14, Dome, racing for Bourdais is off, and underneath goes, that is Capello, picks up the lead. Bourdais, a mistake in the first turn.
But a great...
Very tricky conditions here. The drivers are concerned. We saw Bourdais on his pace laps really got the hammer down, trying to get a feel for the race circuit, Dorsey. For all of the drivers just getting a feel around the circuit in this initial lap.
That was a great save. I mean, it was a mistake, no question, but he didn't throw it in the gravel trap. And we don't know about this circuit. It's not raining right here, but 8 miles around, you never know what you're going to find. Take a replay look at what's happened. Too much speed carries it. Now, that's a safe barrier area. That right there, that green, it looks like grass, is actually AstroTurf with asphalt underneath right on board here. See what it looks like.
This is Capello's car, the Audi.
And you saw one of the cones knocked out of the way already, one of those green cones. They said they wouldn't be here for an hour. One is not.
Dr. Ulrich from Audi said this is a race where you expect the unexpected. How about that? The first corner, the leader goes off.
I was going to say it's a 24-hour race, but the prestige of leading lap one here at Le Mans, just a little bit too much to bear sometimes, and it caught Bourdais out. Again, a great save, and the field now whistling down the Mulsanne out of the first chicane, heading toward the second. In theory, exact mirrors of each other, but in reality, two very different types of corners.
Absolutely, but here we see the second of the Peugeots. This is the 007, right behind Capello. You can identify it by the red mirrors. Bourdais, who currently runs 4th or 5th, has blue mirrors on that Peugeot, so just a quick way of identifying the two cars. There he is. Bourdais comes out of the slipstream.
Take a look at the difference in the two cars. So the Audi, of course, open cockpit. We've seen it. We know how strong it is. But look at that tiny little Peugeot. It's like a Formula One car with a body on it.
As they head into the famous Mulsanne hairpin. Andrew.
Yes, I'm down in the Peugeot pit. They are not making any preparations for a pit stop from Bourdais. They feel that the car is okay. Obviously, we saw him go across the gravel, but they intend to continue. Nobody is on alert here at the moment. And the boss of Peugeot said in the press conference on Thursday, manage your expectations. This car only ran for the first time on December the 31st. It's been an incredible run up to this race here at Le Mans.
One of the concerns for the drivers, though, Dorsey, are these gravel traps. If any gravel comes onto the race circuit, they're like little glass slivers. They'll slice a tire in a heartbeat. So Bourdais has to be concerned. They have telemetry in the pit lane what will determine if there's any pressure loss in one of those 4 Michelins.
And that, of course, is crucial on an 8-mile lap. If you get a puncture, which is very, very similar, I mean, it's very likely to happen here, you get a puncture just past start-finish line, you have a long, long way to go to try to get any kind of remedy.
And a question to ask you guys, and I think I just saw this played out. One of the cars got up on a curb. It looked like smoke. I think it was water. These curbs are holding a lot of water. It's rained so much. That can really catch a driver out.
Well, another thing when I was out on the circuit the other day that you don't see from this picture is that inside those curbs that you're looking at, they've made this new type of curbing. Instead of making something protrude up from the track, which would take the splitter off, they've dug little indentations into the track. And those, of course, will hold water. So you're very right. He might have dropped into that and just picked that water up.
And this is a surprise. I think if you put a bet up and down pit lane this week, no one would have suggested there would be an Audi leading at the end of the first lap. Dindo Capello takes the Audi to the stripe.
And the lap he turned was a 2:56.8. That's not too shabby for the first lap here, especially considering the damp conditions that we've been enduring right now. And you can see he opened up already a 3.5-second lead as we hop on board with the Flying Lizard, the art car. And when you see this car from the outside, it is a very different paint scheme than it's been carrying, and there's a reason for that. Troy Lee Designs, Troy Lee himself, has done the art car for Le Mans this year, and it is spectacular.
Johannes Van Overbeek currently behind the wheel. Flying Lizard here, as Dorsey mentioned in the Open, their 3rd visit to Le Saff. Had a podium on their first run, 4th last year. Johannes Van Overbeek very much on his game. Look at him fighting in the cockpit, trying to find grip with that Porsche.
Here are the two Peugeots, and there you can see the Audi of Capello quickly distancing itself, then the two Peugeots, then the other two of the Audis, and this is the run that many drivers say now with the chicanes in the Mulsanne is the one that takes your breath away the most. The run from Mulsanne hairpin down into Indianapolis, it is as fast as any part of the Mulsanne and even more dicey to drive.
It is, and look at Bourdais. He tucks out of Manassian slipstream and takes second place away. Looks like Bourdais wants to get that car to the front.
Hits whatever the problem might be. Unlike some other tires, they don't just come apart and destroy the back ends of the car. He was able to bring it around. We are on board now with Capello. As I said, at the end of the first lap, he was 3.5 seconds up. At the end of lap 2, 5 seconds up, even though Bourdais got around Manassian and was able to put about 1.5 seconds on his teammate. He has not been able to do anything with Capello, and the primary reason is Capello has already turned to 3:33.6. That is a very quick race lap at any point of this race.
Very aggressive. Last year's fastest lap was about a 3:31, but Dorsey, the racetrack, as you saw when you ventured out there this week, Tertre Rouge is so much faster. The lap times were immediately cut by about 2 seconds with that and the extra grip from the new surface in other areas.
Yeah, they did, in fact, resurface several of our areas. Arnage has resurfaced. That was the slipperiest of all the corners, also the slowest. And when it rained, there was always a problem. Look, here's somebody getting out of the... There's a car broke down over here on the left.
Looked like that Lamborghini. There's actually a different chassis. They crashed heavily in qualifying and got the permission, as one of the teams did last year, to actually replace the chassis on that. We saw it in the warm-up this morning.
Well, I think we've discovered over the years that the rules at Lamar are sort of like the pirate code in Pirates of the Caribbean, more of a guideline, and I think the Lambos claimed parlay and were given a bit of a break. Oh, look at this move. Ducked underneath was Biela and picked up the spot on Manassian, and boy, that was aggressive. Very late move, Calvin.
It really was. Frank Biela, the fans at home may not recognize him in the car because his helmet design has actually changed for the first time in about 20 years. Manuel Pirro, his teammate, was giving him some grief about that, as he said, you're on your verge of retirement, now you change your helmet color. But Biela is third there. That's the second car in shot, followed now by Manassian, and then the third of the Audis.
Well, I would have thought that the Peugeot would have sent a rabbit out. I think maybe that's what they wanted to do, and unfortunately Sebastian went off in turn one and has changed their plans on board now. Wow, he didn't know he was coming at all. That was Manassian getting the pass put on him, and you saw how he jerked the wheel, which had made him let me know that he didn't know it was coming.
And you see that movement, that's the paddle shift that they're using there on the Peugeot. You see his hand, his left hand there, which is in the camera shot. That's as he's coming down the gearbox for Mulsanne corner.
You can also see how small that cockpit is by the size of the hands of the steering wheel. That is a very tiny workspace. Andrew, what's the final word, if any, on the Chamberlain Synergy car?
Well, the final problem actually is with the wiring to the rear lights. They've got a problem with the wiring because the flailing tyre cut that, and so they've just made a temporary repair, and Hugh Chamberlain just told me a bit later in the race they're going to have to come back and fix that properly, but they don't really know why that tyre cut. It looked to me as if the bodywork had been flexing, and it certainly had been pressing against the side of the tyre, but just as you said, there wasn't any apparent bodywork damage on that car, but well, there's a long way to go yet, and everybody looking pretty relaxed at Peugeot, I have to say, at the moment.
I'm surprised, Dorsey, as you said, that we didn't see one of these Peugeots out front in the early go, and certainly Bourdais off attributed to that. But right now, as we look at the pace, the Audi, the lead Audi of Capello is in the mid-33s, Bourdais running mid-34s, and Biela's right on his tail.
I think this is going to be a chess game, I think, between Audi and Peugeot. You know, I think you're right. I think they would have sent the rabbit out, but when the rabbit fell off the road, they said, okay, well, then let's just check up a minute and see what Audi does.
This is live with Johannes van Overbeek, who has recovered from a quick on and off, we understand, with the Flying Lizard team.
Here's the very fast corner up here. Oh, just locks it. There he goes across the new section. He would have been in the gravel last year, Calvin. That's all new pavement.
And no harm, no foul there. As long as you don't change position, you're allowed to just continue. So that's the nice thing about some of these safety changes to the race circuit. Much better for the drivers.
As you take a look here, we're also seeing in the background there in the fifth spot, Lucas Luhr, one of the young guns Dorsey talked about, looking at trying to find a way around Manassian as well. So right now, Diesels occupy the top five. Luhr looking to the inside. I don't think he was going to quite get that done. Nope, but was certainly showing the nose as we watch Frankie Biela chasing down Sébastien Bourdais. You take a look here, some of the great shots, and finally a bit of blue here at the 75th running of the Michelin 24 Hours of Le Mans. Here are your top 10.